Houston Miller, welcome to the Sunday Afternoon Smokes Lounge, man.
Thank you for having me. I am stoked to be here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having you, looking forward to the conversation. Now, I will say, because I've been thinking about this episode, and this is a little bit outside of the scope of what I typically do. Because I'm sitting down with an entrepreneur, a business owner, a creative, not that you're not creative, but you reached out to me and wanted to talk about some very important cultural things that's going on. We have a lot of common ground, which should raise some important issues today. So I'm like, yeah, man, let's pull the trigger on this because I think it's worth talking about.
Yeah.
So, question: you're wearing a hat that says Yoder's Components.
Yes, I am.
Is that in any way connected with Yoder's Automotive? Out in, you know where that is?
Yes.
Have you heard of it?
Yeah, no, that's Aaron Yoder that owns Yoder Automotive. Excellent mechanic. Super good guy.
Well, he's worked on my car a couple times. My wife that you met before the show, she used to be a midwife before she had her stroke. She delivered Aaron's babies.
Really?
Yeah.
So I would have went to school with his wife. We would have all grown up Mennonite together. So, like, I know that entire family very well. Yeah.
Okay.
But no, Aaron's a great guy. Same last name, but no, Yoder's Components would be an offshoot of Yoder's Building Supply over in Fairplay. This would have been their truss shop. Yoder Components would have been their truss shop. And my best friend, of course, is over there. And, during hunting season or whatever, he'll throw me a hat or something. So it's one of my favorite hats. So I like to wear it.
Okay. I saw it. I'm like, I wonder if there's any connection there.
No.
But anyway, so before we get, you've already lit your cigar. You've got a Drew Estate Undercrown Maduro. I've got a Black Label Trading Company, Last Rights. And so let's do this.
Good.
Take a minute, introduce yourself, let us know who you are, say as much or as little about yourself as you like, background-wise, whatever. And while you do that, I'll light my cigar, and then we'll get into it.
Absolutely. Well, man, we're going to get started on this, and I'm not very good at introductions. I grew up in Westminster, South Carolina. I'm adopted, me and two of my brothers. I guess the thing that would be a little bit different about us is we were adopted into a Mennonite, conservative Mennonite, Amish family. My parents would have originally came from like Cochran, Pennsylvania, or my dad from Hartville, Ohio. And yeah, I mean, life was good. I've spent the wide majority of my life in the construction field, anything from concrete to framing and building houses, and then kind of transitioned into outside sales. And I did that for a while, but I've always had kind of a natural call to service. And, when I was growing up in the early 90s, the military wasn't a great thing for Mennonites. They were kind of anti-military. And so I never really felt like I could go do that. So as I got older, I decided, I'm going to join the sheriff's office. And so that's what I did. So in 2023, I joined the sheriff's office, and I've been sheriffing from 2023 to 2026. And I've recently transitioned out of sheriff's office, which we can talk a little bit more about that later and why. But really, that's where my heart is at. So a couple of different things, little interesting things. I've had a good life as far as experience goes. But yeah, so that's about all there is to me.
Yeah, no, that's totally fine. I'm curious because I heard you say you were in the law enforcement from 23 to 26, but you said that's where your heart's at.
Yeah.
So if your heart's in law enforcement, why did you transition out of it?
Well, going through child custody, you can't really afford to. I was making, after taxes, $2,700 to $2,900 a month. My lawyer just for my kids is $7,500 up front. You've got all kinds of attorney fees and just having the money that I would need to fight for the kids. I needed to make more money.
It was straight up a math.
It's straight up a math problem, 100%. There's other little things there too. One of the big things is like I kind of felt like my identity very much got tied into police, to being police. And somebody up here is going to make fun of the way I say police because apparently that's just the funniest thing in the world. But, I had somebody one time, I had somebody pulled over it and somebody said something about, hey, man, why don't you pay for this for me? And I told them, I said, they don't call us the rich lease. And she said, what? And I said, they call us the police because we po. She thought that was the funniest thing in the world.
Funny.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was just a math problem for me, man.
Yeah. Well, I interviewed, and I don't know that you know this, like you're a local guy to do you live in Easley?
I don't. I live in the Anderson County side of Central.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I interviewed the mayor of Easley on the show months. I don't even remember what episode number she is, but
excellent lady.
Very nice lady.
Excellent lady.
And it was interesting to me, like there is for this little city of Easley, which is, it may be the biggest city in Pickens County, but it is a small city comparatively.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And there is not enough police in this city for proper needs, like for protection wise. And I don't think people really understand how few police there actually are.
Yeah.
And and people also, if you want certain things in your community protections wise, well, you got to pay for that through taxes, but people don't like paying taxes.
No, I don't like paying taxes.
I don't like paying taxes. Nobody likes paying taxes. So it's this conundrum of what I want versus what I'm willing to pay. I don't know. What was your experience like as a police officer in the city of Easley?
Well, I didn't spend as much time in Easley as some other guys. I spent the majority of my time with Sheriff's Office. I had started in Abbeville County Sheriff's Office. I started in Abbeville County, and then I was privileged enough to go to work for Sheriff Stearns over at McCormick County Sheriff's Office during his kind of last term. That's where I got a wide majority of my experience from. I was able to work up to some specialized units and do some different things. And then I did spend some time as a police officer here in the city of Easley. And let me just tell you something about the city of Easley. Just like in any other job, you're going to have people that you don't like and you're going to have people that you like. But the overall atmosphere of Easley it's a good atmosphere. The city of Easley, to my knowledge, when I worked for them, they ran, I think 8 officers to a shift is what they wanted. They tried to have, but it's so hard to kind of fill some of those slots. And yeah, to the general public who doesn't understand, you need to understand that, let's say you get in a car accident. Well, let's say it's 1 or 2 people in a car, or 2 cars are involved. Maybe you'll have an officer out there, maybe 2 officers out there. You're going to be tied up on that wreck for an hour. Okay. And minimum. Yes. Because the thing about the city is, it's a big difference is like the county, the sheriff's office doesn't work wrecks. That's highway patrol. In the county, highway patrol will work an accident. In the city, that's all police. That's all police. And what people don't understand is just the amount of paperwork that goes with it. For every person that you take to jail, I don't care how good you are at paperwork, you're at least 30 to 45 minutes minimum, if you've been doing it a long time, to be able to get your paperwork wrapped up. So if you take, and this is a very easy thing to do, there's been many times where I've taken 5 people to jail in a night for different things. Well, I was off work and back at home, and I was doing paperwork until 9:30, 10 o'clock.
That's 2.5 hours plus just on paperwork.
Yes, just on paperwork. And that's not including anything else. If you've got evidence you've got to turn in, if you've got witness statements you need to get, and you got to put everything in a report, you got to send it all over, it's got to get checked. There's a lot of paperwork. It's not live PD. I mean, but it's an honor to do that job. It really is. It's an honor to do that job. And I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Sure.
But yeah. So,
well, it's a tough job, and it's a dangerous job for very little pay.
Yeah, the pay is not good.
Yeah, which I don't, I would not encourage. I don't know. Like if my son wanted to go into law enforcement, I mean, I'd have a serious talk with him about and by the way, I think it's a noble profession. I think it's a good job. As far as it's a morally upstanding job. Of course, we live in a time right now where the world's out of its mind towards police officers. You know, when I grew up, police officers they were your friend.
Yes.
You know,
Yep.
they should be trusted. But there's bad police officers, just like there's bad doctors and there's bad attorneys and there's bad mechanics and there's bad school teachers but that doesn't mean the whole of them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm convinced and believe that the by and large officers are decent,
Yeah, nobody
people.
hates a bad cop more than a good cop. I can promise you that. I used to tell people that all the time. Nobody hates a bad cop more than a good cop because it makes it harder on the rest of us. Now, the problem is, how do you define bad? Like, what is bad? Because it's not writing somebody a ticket bad, because
Right.
sometimes in the admin's eyes, it can be looked at as write everybody a ticket. Well, I got into this job for the people, and I just didn't really feel like, it's not that I would write tickets when necessary, but just because I can doesn't mean I should.
Right.
Just because somebody could go to jail doesn't mean they should. And I don't mean, and I want to be very careful about how I say that, because I just don't want people to think that I was just out letting people go. In fact, I kind of had a reputation for taking people. But for instance, narcotics was kind of the thing that I did most of my time, or I focused on the most. The thing I love about narcotics is it's black and white. You can't have it. You shouldn't have it. You shouldn't do it. And what I think is I'm doing the best. I told you earlier before the show started, the reason I got in law enforcement is because my biological mother had passed away from narcotics. I got to be close with her when I was 18 to about 23 or 24. And she passed away from narcotics. And so for me, I was like, I seen her leave behind 3 sons and 2 daughters that, mourned her loss. And it was because, it was her own fault for honestly starting that. But ultimately, like, as a police officer, I felt that I could do my job to stop the inflow of narcotics into my town and into my community. But I kind of forget where I was going with that. But no, it is a hard job, but it is a noble job. And
Yeah.
it's one of those jobs, I tell people all the time, if you're going to get into police, and you need to have 3 things right: your relationship with the Lord, number 1, your relationship with your wife, and your relationship with your money. Because all 3 of those things are going to come into question. They're going to be tested while you're on the job.
Yeah.
So
No,
make
that's
sure those things are right.
well, I think that's probably that statement is a very, very good statement, but it applies to men across the board.
Yes.
It really does. Men across the board, your relationship with the Lord, like you said, the Lord, your wife, and money. Those 3 things. You're going to be tested. The devil's going to find a crack, and he's going to stick his foot in it, and he's going to beat you down. He's going to put things in your path, and so that relationship with the Lord and with the missus it needs to be like air.
It's got to be rock solid, dude.
Yeah.
It's going to be rock solid.
Yeah, absolutely. Where I was going earlier is the whole like pay issue, and it's a dangerous job for not much money. Like, and just as as just kind of a random example, my son has no interest in being a law enforcement officer, but just have that serious conversation about, like, that's not much money to potentially get shot in the face. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so just like kind of think about that for a minute. What would you say to some young man that was considering law enforcement?
Why? Why do you want to do it? I'm not saying no. I'm just asking why. Because if you want to get into it in order to have power, you're going to lose your job quick. You don't want to get into, if you have the mentality of, I want to get in there and kick down doors and take bad people to jail, that's okay to have some of that, to have, for lack of a better word, to have that dog in you a little bit. That's what we would say. But it's how you control it. Because when you're on the street, man, when you're on the job, people are going to test you. And so what I would tell any young man is like, hey, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And does law enforcement fit into it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is it like, do you want to have a nice, great big house? Not saying that you can't have that in law enforcement, because some people are just really, really good with their money. But let's say when I started sheriffing for $34,000 a year. I went from making $120,000 a year and went all the way down to $34,000 a year.
Woo.
Because I wanted to do this job. Okay.
No, you seriously got to want to do a job to take that kind of pay cut.
That's how much money I was willing to lose. I was making like right around 120, 118, something like that. And I fell in love. I knew my whole life I wanted to be police. And I wanted to be police because I wanted to help people. I wanted to be part of my community. And also I have a natural I'm naturally interested in doing wild stuff. I'm an adrenaline junkie. Um, so I knew from a very young age that that's where God was going to have me. Now, was my timing right? I don't know. Because there's a lot of things that happened after I joined the police that I don't think would have happened if I would have waited on God's timing instead of doing what I wanted to do when I wanted to do it. So I would encourage anybody that wants to do it, make sure it's God's timing. And if you feel like that's where God's calling you, then go do it. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, man. I hate to do this very early. We're gonna take a quick break, and I'm gonna make an adjustment, and we'll pick it back up.
Okay, that'll work. I want to relight this thing a little bit. This is an excellent cigar.
It's a good smoke, man.
What got you into cigars?
I did.
Yeah.
But it's just like, well, and I've told this story. Like, it all started in like '98 after I graduated high school and just kind of goofing off with college friends, chewing tobacco, and wound up smoking a pipe, and then eventually moved into smoking cigars. But I took a very long break from tobacco because so in December of 1999 I became a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Sunday before Christmas, and I told you I come from the independent fundamental Baptist world, and so the church I became a Christian in was, alcohol is a sin, tobacco is a sin, all these things are sins, and
it's a sin to enjoy yourself.
So yeah, I just, as a young Christian, you just assume the guy who's preaching to you knows what's right.
Yeah.
You don't know anything, which is fine.
Yeah.
But eventually, fast forward to 2018, from 1999, almost 20 years later, I just have the deep thought of, what does the scriptures actually say about consumables, whether it's tobacco or alcohol or whatever. And so I just kind of went on this personal study about that kind of thing and came away with the conclusion after reading across the Testaments that it was really be a person of be moderate in the things that you enjoy.
Balanced.
Yeah. You don't have to go to excess with, obviously not with spirits. We don't want to be drunk. That would be a problem. But, and I tell everybody, like, we have a massive problem in Christian churches when it comes towards things like alcohol and tobacco and other things. We'll preach against those all day long, but when's the last time you ever heard some preacher get up and like talk about some dude having like seconds and then thirds and 2 pieces of pie and 4 glasses of sweet tea? And so, and it's not that having thirds and 2 pieces of pie and 4 glasses of sweet tea is in itself inherently wrong, but Christianity is a life of humility and moderation. It's balance. It is that I am in control of my desires and appetites. I'm not letting my flesh rule me. And, Galatians or Ephesians, be not drunk with wine where is in excess. I think the exception to the rule is when it comes to spirits, you get drunk, you're not in control of yourself anymore. Or maybe it would like illicit drugs that would mess with your mental state where you're not in control. So I came out of that study saying there's absolutely nothing wrong with cigars or pipes or chewing tobacco. It's, am I in control, and am I being moderate with my usage thereof?
That's how, when I would have grown up in the conservative Mennonites, yes, if you smoked, you were going to hell. If you dipped, you were going to hell. I mean, honestly, if you listen to anything other than Jason Crabb Family and Gaither Vocal, man, you were probably going to hell, But, the whole Christian life is all about balance. All of it is. People always, like to say that, but they forget that Jesus' first miracle was turning water into wine. Now, some scholars will argue it was grape juice. Well, I'm here to tell you that if I was having a wedding and I would probably, I mean, Jesus gonna make grape juice? No, 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 no. Them grapes were fermented, and we all know what that means. Jesus, I don't think God has an issue with you having a drink or smoking a cigar, because God actually gave you life for you to enjoy it. He wants you to enjoy it, okay? It's a beautiful thing that he created for you, so you should enjoy the small things. Now, going back to what we were talking about with gluttony, the problem isn't necessarily how much you're eating, it's the lack of self-control.
Yeah.
So it's the lack of self-control that is actually the sin. It's the lack of self-control, and that goes for anything. That can go for how much time you're on your phone, how much time you're watching TV, how many drinks you're having, how many cigarettes you're having. A lack of self-control, because God requires, he wants you to be in control, self-controlled, or have control. But he also wants you to enjoy the small things in life. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with sitting down and having a cigar, having a drink. And I would even argue that in early America, very few things were figured out without a pipe or a glass of mead.
Sure.
Like the entire Constitution was, the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists sat down and debated how they wanted America to look, and it was over a glass of beer.
Yeah.
It was over a beer. And that's what I think, I'm kind of buzzing off here for just a second. I think that's actually one of the problems that we're having in society, is people have forgot how to sit down and have conversations. Like, people have forgot how to do exactly what me and you are doing right now, which is just sit down and talk.
Well, I think part of the issue, though, is people don't want to sit down and talk with people that have opposing views.
Why is that, do you think?
Because people don't like to be wrong. I really think that's the core issue. That is the fundamental problem with man, which is pride. Nobody likes to be wrong, which ultimately, like, we can find a wide range of reasons of why people will not come to Christ.
Yep.
But ultimately, it's a submission. It's a submission issue, and it is a right and wrong issue for a person to come to saving faith in the Lord Jesus Christ. What must happen is for you to believe that he is the Christ, the Son of the living God, that God was manifest in the flesh, bore all of the sins of the whole world on his body, or in his body on the cross, was buried, and 3 days later rose again. And that there are no other gods besides him.
Yeah.
So in order for you to come to saving faith in Christ, what you have to admit is, everything I believed before, I was wrong. I was wrong about.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that is I was an atheist, or I was an agnostic, or I worshipped Allah, or I was a Buddhist and I had like 500 gods, or whatever, or you were your God, because many people are their own God. They wouldn't say they are, but that's how they live.
I've encountered that quite a bit here.
That's how they live. So you're having to humble yourself and say, everything I believed before was incorrect, and Jesus is correct.
Mm-hmm.
And so people don't like, it's John, I think it's John 1, right? That Christ is the light. Men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil, and they will not come to the light.
Yeah.
Lest their deeds would be reproved. They don't want that rebuke. People don't seek out rebuke. And so when people in our nation, liberals, conservatives, Democrats, Republicans, socialists, whatever the case is, people don't like to sit down with somebody that's totally on the other side and engage, because your assumptions and beliefs are going to be challenged, and there's the potential for you to be wrong and corrected, and people don't like that.
Yeah, see, I just don't quite understand that, and I may not looking at it, but like I enjoy the gym quite a bit. I enjoy lifting heavy. I enjoy the challenge of things. I don't understand why people wouldn't want to be wrong, or why.
Jeez, I'm just making a mess over here today.
Well, I don't understand why people wouldn't want to place themselves in a situation to get better. I forget who says it. There's a quote that says, "If you think that you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room." Like, surround yourself with people. There's men in my life. There's people in my life. Ty Colson, my good friend Courtney. There's people in my life who I will call when I'm struggling, and I will say, "Hey, this is what I'm thinking. This is what I want to do. I don't know if this is the right choice or not. What is your opinion?" Like, I want them, and like they will, man. They will tell me, "You're wrong. Do not do that." Or, "No, that's a stupid way to do things."
Well, I think
be rebuked.
Well, I think part of the maybe another part of that issue is just being challenged and being wrong, but it's you will do that because apparently you love truth.
I do love truth.
I do too,
because there's a lot of lies out there.
I love truth. There's a verse in the book of Hebrews about the Lord Jesus where it says, "Because thou hast loved righteousness and hated iniquity, he hath anointed thee with the oil of gladness above thy fellows." Like, when you love truth and you love righteousness and you hate iniquity, that is that's a good place. I think it's a good place to be, and you want to challenge. People don't like to be challenged in that way, but I do think that people on opposite sides of the spectrum should be able to sit down and have
a conversation
and be friendly about it. Like, I don't have to approve of the things that you believe in or of your particular lifestyle, but that doesn't mean I get to be a jerk.
That's right.
About it. And that's the problem.
Because I got to love you past your opinion.
That's the problem. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing, man. It's like, and I've seen this so much, like, whether it be in policing or outside of policing, like, I meet people all the time, and, you know, there's a few areas, there's a few certain things that, like, I will firmly stand against, and I will argue it based on my side, right? Now, what I like to explain to people is, if I'm looking at you and you're looking at me, and we're on a beach, and I reach down and I draw a 6 in the sand, from your perspective it's a 9, and from mine it's a 6. And I'll sit here all day and argue with you and tell you it's a 6, and you'll do the same thing and tell me it's a 9. Guys, at the end of the day, we have to realize that maybe neither one of us are wrong. Maybe it's just two different perspectives. And I don't have to agree with you, but I do need to respect you and care about you outside of your opinion. As a human being, as a fellow believer, a non-believer, whatever it is, it's my job to love. I mean, the Bible says, what have a man that gives the world, or owns the world, or has the world? He's got all these things, but he hasn't loved. He's really had nothing.
Right.
And so, hopefully, when I stand in front of God, I really hope that God just says, "Well done, loving people." Like, really, I hope so.
Yeah, well, I think what you're getting at is the important part, that we've gotten to the place where we see people as a collection of their points of view and a collection of their values, versus that's a person.
Yeah.
Sometimes I drive down the road and it comes to me, it's pretty regular. And like I've said before many times in this podcast, I'm an unashamed Christian, and I believe the things that the Scripture says about the eternity and the eternal blessing of being in the presence of Christ, or in the presence of God through Christ, and the reality of eternal judgment, separated from God. And so I will drive sometimes down the road, wherever it's on Highway 85 or 123 into Greenville or wherever it is I'm headed. I see all these cars driving up and down the road, and the thought comes to my mind, look at all these souls
Yep.
All of these eternal souls that are headed somewhere. So a person sitting across from me may be a hardcore liberal. And let's just run down. I don't typically do this stuff on my podcast, but like I said, this is a little bit different today. We'll just run down the list. They are anti-Christian, anti-God, they're anti-American, they're anti-Israel, they are pro, all of the letters, the LGBTQIA plus, like whatever it is, they are the polar opposite of me. But and that is a reality. But the other reality is that is a soul for whom Christ died.
That's a fact. That's the hardest thing to do in anything, and I'm going through that, especially with my ex and child custody, and we'll get into all that. But I have to remind myself that the very sin that she's committing for me, Jesus died for that sin.
Mm-hmm.
So and the Bible says that you're forgiven like you forgive. We've got to figure out how to understand and realize, guys, that being a Christian, calling yourself a Christian, is not easy. It's hard. It's incredibly hard. It requires you to love and to forgive. Doesn't mean forget. It doesn't mean forget. But it requires you to forgive, because non-forgiveness will eat you up and kill you. It'll poison your soul. And that's something that I'm learning. I'm reading my own mail right now, because I struggle with forgiveness. I'm really good at holding a grudge, like real good at it. Like I've got I love people, and it's really hard to get me to the point to where I don't like you. Like you have to like betray me kind of thing. But if you do that, it's really hard for me to let it go.
It's hard, man. Forgiveness, I think, is probably one of the most, I don't know that we are ever like the Lord Jesus Christ as much as when we forgive somebody.
That's a very good point.
It is extremely hard. And like you said, the purpose of forgiveness, sometimes like it's nice for people who have offended you, for you to forgive them and let them know that will help them. But ultimately, forgiveness is not for them, it's for you. Forgiveness is a bitterness.
Yep.
If you hold on to it, it is a bitterness that will destroy you from the inside.
Yeah.
And it will affect other people.
Yes. It will affect everybody else around you.
Yeah.
And it took me a long time to realize that forgiveness and reconciliation are not the same thing.
No, they're not.
Because what I was looking for is reconciliation, and I want to be very careful about how much I do some of this, but I've got a lot of mom and dad pain. I just do. I have been looking for reconciliation instead of just administering forgiveness. And, I had a conversation not too long ago with someone, and I was like, well, they give me just this blanket apology. Hey, I'm sorry I hurt you. But in my mind, I got brought up, what are you sorry for? By me saying that, I'm putting a condition on my forgiveness. Jesus doesn't say to have a condition for your forgiveness. He just says to forgive. And I struggle with that real bad. But it's something I'm working on, is realizing that reconciliation isn't for me. Like sometimes it doesn't happen.
Well, see, here's the weird thing. We, because we are not like God, right? God has that ability to forgive and to forget, right? He washes all of our sins away for those who have received the Lord Jesus Christ. He washes all of their sins away. And, what is it, 1 Corinthians or 2 Corinthians 5:21? He hath made him to be sin for us who knew no sin, that we might be made the righteousness of God in him. So it's like when God looks at Houston Miller, when God looks at Christopher Strother, he sees the perfection of his son. Because we have the righteousness of Christ. That was the bargain. You believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of the living God. If you will believe that, then I will transfer all of your sins to him, and I will in turn transfer all of his righteousness to you.
Mm-hmm.
So when God looks at you as a Christian, there is no sin.
Yeah, it actually says that he looks at us as saints.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you and I living down here in real time,
Yeah. I
dealing
still
with
see the
people,
ugly.
we still
Yeah.
see it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and they're like, the goal for Christians should ultimately be reconciliation. Yes. We want to have a relationship, but sometimes, so you can forgive some people, you can forgive a person for X, Y, or Z, but sometimes there's people that are repeat offenders.
Yeah.
And you can forgive them in your heart, and you should, but it seems to me that sometimes based on their continued behavior, it's not a good idea for you to continue a relationship.
No, I mean, the Bible talks about a dog returning to its vomit.
Yes.
I mean, just to be blunt. No, I'm not saying that when you forgive, you should put yourself back in that situation. Or even if you get reconciliation, you should put yourself back in that situation.
Well, I would agree with you.
Yeah,
by the way.
I think you should. If there's somebody in your life that is causing you to fumble and stop, cut it off, man. Be done with it. There's people in my life that I truly, genuinely love, people I'm kin to, that I've had to cut off and just say, I can't. Like, I love you, but I love my relationship with the Lord, and when you're in my life, I struggle, you know?
Yeah.
But the Bible does say, like, if you can be reconciled to your brother, go and do it. In fact, it was such a serious thing that when you would actually come to give your sacrifice, that the Bible actually says that if you have beef with your brother, I'm paraphrasing here.
No, that's what it says.
you got-
Literally,
yeah.
so if thou hast beef with thy brethren.
Yeah. Yeah. No, if you got beef with your bro, don't even come here and give your sacrifice until you're reconciled with him.
That's what he said.
Yeah.
Leave your gift at the altar, go be reconciled,
Yeah.
and then come back.
Yeah, squash that beef.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Could you imagine a Bible that just had all the new slang in it?
Yeah, that'd be
Yeah,
wild.
that'd be
yeah.
yeah.
We should work on that.
We should. I'd crash out.
Yeah, that's what it would say when Jesus was flipping the tables.
Yeah,
Like,
he
crashed out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we're going all of this way, starting at people that have different points of view, and are like, but the wild thing to me though is there is like real America,
Yeah.
and then there's media America.
That's fact.
You know what I mean? So, like,
Get rid of it.
well, I just.
Get rid of it.
Like the person that I talked about, though, they exist.
Yeah.
This person that is anti-American,
Oh, yeah.
and they hate Christians and hate God and hate.
But how much of that is because of what they see on the media? Yeah.
Right. So, like, if you go, I don't know. I've done a little bit of travel in the States, not a whole lot. Obviously, the South is a unique place. The Northeast, the Northwest, the California area, everybody's different, but. Like, if you travel, Americans are generally very friendly people and very welcoming people. So, I don't know.
You know what both sides care about? Taking care of our children, making sure there's food, making sure that there's gas, and making sure there's somewhat of a quality of life.
Yeah.
But I don't care what side you're on, left, right, up, down, side to side, or triangle, whatever you want to call it. We all care about the same thing, which is like, we want to care for our children. We want to care for our mom. We want to care for our dad. We want to care for our spouse. We want decent gas prices. We want food that we want to be able to afford to live, afford to be free. I actually think I listened to a podcast. I just listened earlier today where there's things in Europe where, you know, you're actually, if you're born after 2009,
Yeah.
you'll never be allowed to smoke a cigar or anything like that.
You'll never be able to, generational tobacco ban.
Yeah, that's
We're
correct.
running past that in New York. And I don't know if it's the whole state of New York or if it's just New York
We're
City.
full. South Carolina is full. We can no longer have anybody else from New York or California. We are full. If they pass that, people are going to move.
Well, it's just what it's wild to me. Like the government never knows when to leave well enough alone.
You know, I mean, I talked to you earlier about talking with I'm gonna just name drop him here, and I cleared it with him before I came. There's a guy that was running for governor here in the state of South Carolina, Rom Reddy, and I spoke with Rom. And let me just say this first and foremost: I don't know Rom from Adam, outside of I emailed him because he was one of the only in fact, the only candidate I've ever known that one of the things he was running on was family court and the injustice within family court. So I emailed him and I was like, hey, man, I just got some questions. I just want to ask you, before I vote for you, I want to know what you stand for. He went to a rally actually in Simpsonville. And on his drive back home, he spent an hour and a half talking to me on the phone. This guy is the same guy that sits in the room with President Donald Trump, the same guy that sits in the room with Ron DeSantis, this guy that some people like, some people don't. But no matter what, he takes the time to send me his personal cell phone number to talk to him for an hour and a half on the phone and discuss issues. But Rom told me something. He said, the reason I chose to run is, he said, I was getting out of church and I was going home and I sat down and he was reading a book. And he said, I read a quote that said, I might mess this up, but he said, the price good men pay or indifferent men pay is to be ruled by evil. And he said, so I chose that. He said, I didn't want to be indifferent. So he said, I don't want to be ruled by evil. And so he said, like, I'm running for governor of Houston. He said, because I just don't want everybody to be ruled by evil. And he says, there's too much. And this is a guy that has spent, what, $4-5 million on a campaign that he's going to lose, that he lost. I mean, $5 million. I mean, it must be nice to be able to throw $5 million away, but think about the willingness to be able to say, I'll give up $5 million to do this thing that I'm probably going to lose anyway.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to be indifferent. And that's the problem with this country, is that there's too many good men that are willing to just be indifferent.
Well, I don't know that they're indifferent. I think, and I've thought about this a lot, we complain about the kind of people that are in government, whether it's state, local, state, or federal. We complain, and rightly so. And sometimes we're looking around at the last many years and wondering why we don't have a better pool of what we might call quality candidates. Like, where are those men that you're just talking about, right?
Yeah.
But I have thought this, successful men, however we want to define success for this argument, and women, by the way.
Yeah.
Successful men, successful women, upright men, upright women. I think we don't have very many of those running, because those kinds of people are too busy building a family, building a business, building a career, faithful in church, loving their wife, loving their husband, raising their family, doing good things. They're so busy doing those things that are very, very important, and they have little interest in telling other people how to live their life. And so
I don't disagree. I don't disagree with that at all.
Run.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
But I would, yeah, just
But
I would appreciate somebody being like, yeah, I don't want nobody to run your life. I don't want nobody running my life. So I'm going to run for this because I want to stop people from trying to run your life. Problem is, most of the time, people like that don't win. Just most of the time. I'm not saying never, but sometimes. But no, I just thought that was awesome that Rom was willing to do that.
Yeah, well, look, and this is really the crux of what we wanted to talk about today. We've got plenty to talk about, but you said that he was, like, his big issue was family court.
He had a couple of key big issues, but yeah, it was definitely top 3, top 4. Yeah, so to dive into some of the family court stuff, and I know that we kind of had an idea about where we wanted to go with some of that. So, and I want to be very careful about how much I say or how I say it. I'm going to first preface all of this by saying that all of this is from my side, my perspective, what I've seen, what I've witnessed. And there is a generational cultural issue in this country of fatherless homes. And what I mean by that is there is a lot of men who have not stepped up to be dad. There's a lot of men who have tried and have been not given the opportunity. And South Carolina Family Court is by far one of the most corrupt things I've ever seen. And I'll just say that openly. Family Court is one of the only courts, or is the only court, that is private. The preface for that is to protect the minor child, but you can, like, really, you're not allowed to have anybody else in there. It's got to be you, the opposing party, the plaintiff, the defendant, the judge, and 2 lawyers. And 99% of the time, you will not say anything in court. Your voice will never be heard. Your opinion, your side will never be heard. And it is between lawyer, and judge. And all the time, how you get to raise your kid is determined on what lawyer knows the judge the best. It is three parties choosing or making decisions for how you get to interact with your child. So I have some statistics on my phone, and we'll get into that a little bit. But currently, South Carolina is they are trying to pass a bill. It's called the Equal Parenting Act, and it's currently in the Senate and the House, and it's really kind of not necessarily dead in the water, but there's not really an influx of people that really care. So the key thing to realize about this bill is that in the state of South Carolina, if you are an unmarried parent, let's say me and my ex, we're not married. We have 2 children together, been together 10 years. Children have known dad for 10 years. If she decides to leave or he decides to leave, the mother has all the rights, dad has none. Dad doesn't get to see his kids unless mom says it's okay. There is no presumed 50-50 custody. In the reasonable mind, and I think the statistic is 97% of South Carolinians believe that both parents should have 50-50 custody of the children. But most of the time in the state of South Carolina, if you're an unmarried father, you have to go and first and foremost petition the court for rights, which basically means I'm going to the judge and I'm asking the judge to grant me some rights. Now, before he grants you those rights, he's going to petition paternity. He's going to make sure that this child is in fact yours. And that can either be through a DNA test or 2 parties agree that, yes, these are our kids. After that, the judge will hear her side and he will hear your side. I have seen this both from personal experience. I was talking to you earlier out there. This is me and my ex were together 5 years or somewhere right in there. We have 2 beautiful children together. She wanted to be a stay-at-home mother, and this is the 4th time that she's left me. And there's some mental health stuff going on there. I'm not going to dive into all that, but long story short, my children have suffered. They consistently ask to come home. They're consistently asking me where I'm at. Dad, are you going to come here? Are you going to come to grandma's house? Like, time is being lost and time is being robbed of my kids. And her thing is I won't do anything unless the court tells me to. Well, in the state of South Carolina, as an unmarried father, you are guilty until proven innocent. That's just the way it is. And I have seen this both on the personal side and also on the law enforcement side. But then we tend to wonder as a culture, it's like, why do we got all these kids wilding out and not having, they don't have no respect or no morals. And I can pull up statistics here on my phone here, but I think it's like 71% of incarcerated males, 71% of incarcerated males grew up in a fatherless home. There's only, for every 4 children in America, only 1 of them has a father in the home. That's a lot. That's a lot. I have a couple of friends that are going through some similar stuff, and we're trying to start a foundation. We're trying to start something called Equal Roots. And the objective behind Equal Roots is very simple. Is whether you're a male or you're a female, we believe that both parents have the right to be part of their child's life. And the South Carolina Parenting Act is about that. Now, the key thing with the South Carolina Parenting Act is that both parents have presumed 50-50 custody unless, let me preface this, unless there is physical harm, like there's some harm that might be happening to the kids. Then like at that point, like, hey, we're going to stop, we're going to look, we're going to investigate. But still, even after you get investigated, and like, here's the thing, man, like I have been through this twice now. The first time she left me, she was gone for 7 months, and she withheld the kids from me that entire time too. We got to court. I paid $5,000 for a lawyer at that point in time. Her parents are very wealthy. They paid her I think the lawyer that they got is a legislative lawyer, which is actually the same lawyers that actually donate to the judges fund here in the South Carolina. So I don't know if you know that, but like there's trial lawyers here in the legislative lawyers here in the state of South Carolina that actually donate to judges within South Carolina for their campaigns. So I've been fighting this legislative lawyer who bills almost $1,000 an hour against my lawyer. And it really just comes down to money. Who's willing to win? Who's willing to spend the most? So we get to court the first time. The judge grants me like visitation and, hey, pick your kids up at this time, take them home this time. And the day that he does this, 2 days later, she calls me and says, I've had a conviction, like God has convicted me. I realize I've been wrong. If you're willing to give us a second chance, I'd like to come back. And I called my lawyer, I called my pastor, I called my friends and said, guys, this is where I'm at. What do I do? And everybody kind of gave me a lot of counsel. I was like, hey, I don't know if there's too much is went on here. Like, I don't know if I'd let her come back. And so I kind of told her that, and she was like, well, I just need a safe place to go for me and the kids because I can't live with my mom and dad anymore. And so I let her come back. And for another year and a half, everything was fine. Well, then she leaves again. And now we're right back here and haven't seen my children since December 14th. We're right back to the same place that we were a year and a half, 2 years ago.
So did your visitation orders that the judge gave you, were those never finalized?
They were never finalized because 3 days later she dropped everything, was like, hey, like I was wrong. Like, let's work this out or whatever. And like, so I was like, hey, if you come back, that's fine. But here's the thing, like we're gonna have to go to counseling. Like we signed up for marital counseling with our pastor and his wife, but like 2 or 3 sessions in, she decided that she didn't want to do it no more. And then from that point, and I want to be very careful. This is not a woe is me. This is not a feel bad for me. I'm talking about my story because it's one that I can talk about. There's other people's stories that are way worse than mine. But from that point on, I basically lived in a house where every time that she would be upset, she would tell me like, I'll leave you and take the kids. So there's really no point in arguing. And it's like, okay, like I'm not going to argue. I'm not going to argue.
He's using the children as leverage.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, man, I'm sorry to hear all that. In this, again, to the listener, this is what we really, really want to raise awareness of today is the Equal Parenting Act. And by the way, that is House Bill 4622. Yes. In the State House of South Carolina. It is Senate Bill 901. As far as I understand it, it was introduced in February of this year, and it is currently in the House. It is hung up in committee.
Yes.
That's where we're at. And so, like Houston was saying, and look, I moved from Southern California to the upstate of South Carolina in the summer of 2019. I went through a divorce in the early part of 2020. By the time my divorce was finalized, I'd been married 17 years. We got 4 children. My oldest son just a few days ago turned, well, as of this recording right now, by the time this comes out, it'll be a while, but just a few days ago turned 21. My oldest daughter recently turned 19 and graduated high school. So I've got 2 children out, as the legal language, they've been emancipated from the whole child support thing. But I still have to go to court and have them review the finances and get them to sign off on a new child support amount. I can't just say, well, I was paying this and now 2 are gone. I can cut it in half and pay this. You can't do that, which is infuriating because you have to pay a lawyer to go do all this stuff. But so my situation is a little bit different than yours in that I have joint custody, and it's 50-50, but only insofar as it's 50-50 on paper.
Yeah. We know how that looks.
On paper.
Yeah. Yep.
So, like, if there was a medical issue with my children, my former spouse is supposed to consult with me, but she gets to make the final decision.
Yes.
And look, in some ways, I don't know that there's a better way to do it when a mom and dad have been divorced and they can't come to an agreement. Well, the doctor needs to be able to make a decision, do something. So somebody has to have a say.
Yeah.
So we have 50-50, but she's what they call the custodial parent.
Primary custodial parent, yeah.
So, and I am the visiting parent, language that I hate. I'm not a visiting parent.
No,
I
no,
am a father.
I'm a proactive and intentional father.
Yes.
Yes.
100%. And you're right. And it's, look, I can't speak for the other 49 states, though I would not be surprised. This has been going on for decades where just when there's a divorce, men 99% of the time you're going to get the short end of the stick when it comes to your children.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, it's just that children, the court, the state thinks that the children are better off with mom. It's not
Let me tell you why that is.
Well, I was just going to
sorry.
just say it. No, you're fine. I'll let you get there. But I want to say this. Your marriage may have crashed and burned for whatever reason. For whatever reason. It doesn't really matter why, unless you, like you said, unless there's some physical abuse.
Yeah.
There's drunkenness, there's drug abuse, barring those things.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't, if your marriage goes under for whatever reason, it doesn't make you a bad father.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so my current schedule, and people, like, when you start adding up the time, I see during the school year, I see my children for 5 days a month.
Yeah.
I pick them up from school every other Friday. So I see them, my daughter gets out of school at 3:30. So from 3:30 on Friday until I take them back to school on Monday morning, drop them off at 8:30, that's what, 2.5 days, twice a month. And then on every other Thursday on my off week, I see them I pick them up from 3:30, have to have them back at their mom's house at 9. You add that up, 5 days a month, I get to spend time with my children. It's horrible. It is absolutely horrible. So the Equal Parenting Act it's not just a 50-50 custody. It is a 50% time split between mother and father.
Yep.
And look, I understand there's some situations depending on where people live and where the kids go to school and all that could get difficult, but that should be for the parents to work out.
Yeah.
And there's no reason that I should only see my children 5 days a month. There is no reason.
No. There's not, because like, especially with little girls, man, like a relationship between dad and daughter, that is a sacred thing. And it's heartbreaking because, yeah, that's ultimately what ends up happening. And yeah, you're right. The 50-50 Parenting Act is basically just saying, hey, you guys, it took two of you guys to make these children. If you're fit, willing, and able, and there's no abuse, you guys have to spend equal amount of time with
Absolutely.
kids. That means that you're going to get them Monday through Sunday. You're going to get them the next Monday through Sunday. And you know, statistically speaking, that's when kids have seen the most success.
Why is this so problematic to get through the state house or through the Senate?
Well, when I spoke with the legislators, and I spoke with a few people in the office and some of our representatives, I spoke with some of our House representatives. I spoke to 3 different people, and the thing that I got back from all of them is, hey, I can tell you're passionate about this. You know, you're well-spoken. You should do some podcasts or get a newspaper article, because the truth is the bill's probably not going to go anywhere because nobody really cares. Verbatim, nobody really cares.
Nobody who doesn't care. I guarantee you there is a large community of men in the state of South Carolina that care. Is it the representatives and the senators that don't care?
Yes. It's like, so when I was on the job, there was this one case, and I got to be careful about how much I talk about this one because I think it's still ongoing. But there was a case, and there was some custody issues, some kid stuff, and you know, one of the lawyers had ended up coming to the sheriff's office, and we were talking, and I asked him, because I've had some experience here. I was like, dude, just explain to me what the heck is going on here. And he looked at me and he said, I hate family court. He said, it's the most corrupt thing. He said, it shouldn't be the way it is. He said, every lawyer knows this. Every judge knows this. So in law, well, I'll finish this. The lawyer told me that the number one thing that they'll try to do is we'll try to control your finances. He says what they'll do is they'll try to bury you financially. Because after I bury you financially, and after
who is they? The opposing counsel?
Yes, the party, normally, not always, because I know this is not always just a man thing. I know women who have went through some pretty rough stuff.
Sure.
So it's not just a man thing.
But it's overwhelming.
Overwhelmingly,
yes.
it is that. So just for argument's sake, let's just say the woman's opposing party, the plaintiff's opposing, or the plaintiff, their lawyer will try to stick the man with everything.
Yes.
Financially.
Absolutely.
So you're going to pay for, so if she was and this is in my case, if she was a stay-at-home mom, well, then that means that she had to give up 4 years of her career to be a stay-at-home mom. So that means you need to pay for her lawyer. You need to pay for her car insurance, her medical expenses. You need to pay for all of the children. I told you earlier, they're asking me for like $1,600 a month in child support, and that's not including the $3,200 a month in daycare, and that's not including
$3,200 a month for daycare.
Yeah. Do you think that I had a choice in what daycare my kids went?
Where are they going to daycare? I don't know,
apparently,
Peace Center?
According to her, it's one of the cheapest ones she could find. So $3,200 a month in daycare. Now, mind you, they want all of this, and I only make $4,200 a month. And so I asked my lawyer, I was like, well, if I pay all this, like, how do I provide my kids clothes? How do I provide them vacation? How do I provide them food? How do I provide them a place to live? Now, I won't even have the money to even live. I mean,
how are you going to feed your son?
Yeah, my rent's my mortgage is what, $1,400 a month. My fuel is $500 a month. My insurance is this much. My car payment's this month. Whatever it is, and then on top of that, I have to pay all of this. He's like, yeah, it's ridiculous. So this lawyer I was talking to and asking all these questions to, he says, what we do is, he said, we'll try to bury you financially first. He says, because once I bury you financially, I'll offer you whatever I want to offer you with the kids, and you'll take it. If I want you to get the kids 2 days or 2 times a month, 3 times a month, then that's what you'll take, because you don't want any more of this. I mean, this is coming from a lawyer. He's telling me, this is what I do. I'll bury you financially. I'll pin you with everything. And then you will be so broken that you won't be able to afford a lawyer. And then I'll offer you some Judge Brown's basic order modified. And you're going to say yes, because you don't want to keep fighting because it hurts too much.
You know how many times I've reviewed Judge Brown's visitation orders?
Yeah,
I have looked at it. I could probably recite it in my sleep.
Oh, yeah.
Just checking things. I have a modified version of it.
Yeah.
You know, it is just asinine. And parents, whoever the defendant happens to be, so long as you're not, again, this will probably be the last time I say this. This should be stipulated from now on throughout the rest of the podcast. Unless you're in a physically, emotionally abusive, abusing illicit substances, drunkenness, bringing strange men or women into the house.
Yep.
Barring these things.
Yep.
I hate to even say, like, you have a right to your children. Like, I mean, you obviously have a right, but, like, I created these children.
Yeah.
They're my children. They're not the state's children. They're my children. They're her children or his children, whatever position you happen to be in. I have the natural right to them.
I have a duty.
I have an I have an obligation.
Yes.
To my children.
Being a father is a high calling. It's not something to be taken lightly. Anybody can be a dad. It takes a man to be a father.
Yes.
Okay? Or you can flip that. I love being a dad. And going back to my life a little bit, you know, like my dad was there, and he was present, but he was not really interested. He wasn't a very proactive and intentional dad. And what I mean by that is my dad, you know, loved to death. He grew up in the old order Amish ways, and there's no such thing as emotions over there, you know. I've taken the complete opposite route with my girls. You know, like, I didn't grow up in a family here and I love you or I'm proud of you. Like, that's just not something you would say in my house.
Well, I do it all the time.
Okay.
All the time.
With my daughters, Harley Mae and Haven Ray, I use the word I love you every chance I possibly can. And I tell them how absolutely beautiful they are. Every second that I get an opportunity to talk with them or play with them or whatever, I tell them, I'm not even joking here if I tell them 30 times a day, you're the most beautiful girl I've ever seen. You're so beautiful. You're so perfect. You're so good. And she'll come out and she's wearing lipstick on her ears and whatever. Man, I want my daughters. There's no man that will love my daughters like me, because my expectation for their husband is for him to love them more than I did. And that's I'm gonna set the bar
That's
really
a high
high.
bar, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna set that bar really high, because my goal is that whenever my daughters get to the point to where they begin to start dating or begin to start thinking about marriage, I want them to think he's got to love me at least as much as my dad.
Yeah. I've talked about that on my podcast. My oldest son is 17. My youngest daughter is 13. This has been my practice. It will always be my practice when it comes to dropping my kids off and picking them up. I'm not the dad, and I'm not the dad who pulls up to their mother's house, texts them that I'm here. They come out and get in the car, and we drive away. They come out, I get out of the car.
Yeah.
I hug my children. I kiss my children. I tell them that I'm very happy to see them, looking forward to the weekend with them. Then we get in the car.
Yeah.
When I drop them off at their mother's house, they don't just get out of the car and go. I'm out of the car. I hug my kids. I tell them I love them. I tell them to have a good week and that I will miss them. Man, I will hug and kiss my children as much as I possibly can until the day I die.
Yep. You know what else it is, Chris? How I love my children. Let me say this. How I love my children is a natural correlation of how they will view God.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is if they have a dad that loves them,
yes,
it's going to be a lot easier for them to understand the love of a father.
Yes, it will.
If they have a dad that is absent or lacking or abusive or whatever, that's going to be their natural thought process when it comes to a relationship with God. There was a guy in my life, and I tell this story all the time, but his name was Davey BB, and I'll say his name, he wouldn't mind. But we were framing a house one time, or actually we were putting siding on a house. We were up on a plank, and I'm sitting there, and I'm full of piss and vinegar, maybe 18 years old. And Davey looks at me, and he says, Houston, he says, when you die, what do you want to leave your children? And of course, I gave the 18-year-old answer, which is 100 acres of land and a pond and a car and money. And I said, what about you? And Davey, in all of his wisdom, he said, I hope I leave him with an example. And I asked him, I said, an example? I said, what do you mean? He said, I hope I leave them with an example of what it is like to have a father who had a relationship with Jesus and loved people.
Yeah.
He said, if I left them money, if I left them land, but I left them with no example of how to use it or how to take care of it or how to be a Christ-like follower, he said, then I failed them. And he said, my hope for you, Houston, is one day you get to the point to where you're ready to be an example. That conversation with that man on that plank, even though it took me years, has transformed my life and how I view parenting. Because when I had Harley, when I looked at her, when her mother birthed her, she's the most beautiful baby I've ever seen. And I swore an oath right there in the hospital over my daughter that I would never leave her nor forsake her, and I would love her to the best of my ability in the way that Jesus commands me to do it.
Yeah. It's extremely difficult to parent your kids from afar. You understand this now, sadly. I've been trying to do this, trying to be the best dad I can be 5 days a week. Now, thankfully, I'm grateful that we live in the age that we live in, and I can FaceTime my kids anytime I want to.
Yeah.
I can still see them versus,
Yeah.
20 years ago, that wasn't a thing. You're calling on the phone, and before then it was writing letters or whatever. But, and I think what you said earlier about a father loving his children so intensely and so intimately that will help them be able to receive and understand the father, you are the first image of God to your children. The man is. He just is. Conversely, I think I have maybe a small glimpse into the ache of God for all the lost people that do not know Christ. It makes me sick to think about how much time I have lost with my children over the last 5.5 years of being at every other weekend, every other Thursday for a few hours, Dad. You can never replace time. You can never get more time back. All those hours I could have spent with my children. It's absolutely devastating to miss out on that. And like, we can talk about the reasons for divorce and the why, but that's a different conversation for a different day. We're just dealing.
It doesn't really matter, does it?
We're just dealing with the facts afterwards.
Yeah.
And to think that there is a bill in the Senate, in the House of South Carolina, that could remedy, to the best of its ability, at least give fathers and some mothers an equal share of the time. I do not want any man or woman in this state that is a parent that, like when you said, what did you say, that they're fit, willing, and able. I do not wish that any of them lose the kind of time that I have lost. It is devastating. It is a hefty price to pay.
Yeah. It is. Like I said, we're trying to create an organization called Equal Roots, and the ultimate goal for that is, and we've had some people kind of pour in, and some people offer some stuff to help, and we're pretty much taking anybody up, because our whole point of Equal Roots is this: we want you to be the best parent that you can possibly be. And Equal Roots is primarily kind of focused towards men, but very much open to women as well. If you have an ex that is claiming that you don't know how to cook, then come be a part of Equal Roots. We get together, we pray together. Let's host a cooking class. If an allegation is, well, he doesn't know how to cook my kids good food and he can't provide because whatever, come get some support. The biggest thing I want to talk about really is the mental health part. And you might be able to speak this a little bit, and I know me, but I can tell you that it is a depression like you've never felt. It's like a bowling ball in your head and a constant waking up with the agony of knowing that your children are not there. I have missed Father's Day, Christmas, Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve, both of their birthdays, graduations from schooling that I've been part of, family reunions, all within this last year. I've missed them all. I missed every bit of it because the court says that my children and the speediness of me getting to trial is not a concern. I was the plaintiff in the end of December. I filed. May 13th, I got to court. The judge did absolutely nothing. He ordered absolutely nothing on her side nor on mine. And he said, I'll see you here in August. He says, you guys need to go back and get some more stuff and bring it back to me because I don't understand what I'm looking at. And so I haven't seen my kids since December 14th. There's a large possibility I won't see my kids until September. This is the second time this has happened.
Well, I can speak to that.
But men need to have an outlet. And that's what Equal Roots is about, is like giving men the opportunity to sit down with other men who have, like you yourself, who've been there, who have kind of gotten out of it, who can kind of come along the side of each other and put an arm over your shoulder and just say, hey, dude, like I'm here to just cry with you. Because there's a group of us that meet, and we meet once a week. And like, we'll literally just get there and like, you want to talk about some big dudes. There's a couple of guys. There's one guy that was a SEAL. There's one guy that was Rangers 3rd Group, bunch of law enforcement, firefighters, former pastor, some big guys in there. I've never seen guys cry like I see these guys cry. I mean, I'm seeing a Delta operator. I'm seeing a Ranger 3rd Group guy literally on his knees weeping over the loss of his little girls.
Yeah. I'll tell you, one of the most brutal moments I ever experienced was my divorce was finalized, I think, in September of 2020. So that was the fall of 2020. The way the visitation fell, I got spring break.
Mm-hmm.
I got spring break of 21 with my kids. So I got that, picked them up on that Friday, had all Friday through, the Sunday when spring break ended, took them back to school that Monday. So I had like 10 days with the kids. Had all my kids running around my apartment. We're doing this, we're doing that. We're having a great time. I'm with the people that I love more than anything in this world. Take them to school Monday, drop them off. Get back to my apartment. I'm struggling for work. I'm just, at that time, I'm trying to find a job, something to stem the financial bleeding because of the costs of court and lawyers and all of that stuff. And that probably made the smart decision, though. I moved from California, sold my house, paid cash for a house here in South Carolina, gave up my ownership in the house so that I didn't have to pay alimony. And by the way, there is an end to child support. There's not necessarily an end to alimony.
No.
It can go on for the rest of your life. So I figured probably a good idea to let that go. So anyway, I'm running Instacart, just trying to make a few bucks while I look for some kind of job. Monday evening rolls around. It's 6 o'clock. The sun's, or whatever time it is, I don't know, 8 o'clock. Sun's gone down. It's dark. I'm sitting in my apartment by myself after a week and a half with my kids. And it is silent as the grave in there. There's no, hey, Dad. There's no laughter. There's no pitter-patter of feet. There's no video games with my boys. There's no... And I just begin to cry. And the only thing I knew to do was to open up WhatsApp on my phone and video call my mom and dad to just have somebody to talk to. So I know the pain. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to be on your knees in prayer to God at your bedside and you're soaking your sheets and mattress with your tears.
Yeah. Gives you kind of a thought of like, I try to talk to people and I say, God created us in his image. God desires relationship. That's the reason. That's the reason for human creation, is because God desires relationship. We're created men. We're created in the image of God. So we have a natural, innate desire within us to have relationship. We have a natural desire to be fathers. And when, for whatever reason, a disagreement between you and your ex or whatever is the thing that is the catalyst that stops you from being able to be the dad that God designed you to be, it is actually spirit shattering. And I hesitate to even say this, but I actually had a conversation with somebody earlier today and who's going through it. And he told me, he said, Houston, he's like, I got to pretend like my kids are dead. He said, because if I don't, I won't get out of bed in the morning. He said, I'm worried that when I get them back, I'll forget how to be a dad. Because he's going through it too. It's been a year.
Yeah.
He's been their dad since the day they were born. They were together 10 years. He's put them to bed every single night since they were 10. His wife stepped out on him, left him for another man. She took the children, won't let him see his kids. and he's got to go through court, and the court process is just taking almost a year. And he says, I literally have to pretend like they're dead. He said, because if I don't get up and work, I won't have a place for them to stay. But he says, every day, just me getting out of bed, that's the hardest part about my day. I get out of bed, I leave the house, I want to go right back home. He says, and I feel guilty for that. He said, I feel like I've lost my kids.
Yeah. Let me just stop right here, and I want to say this, and then we can move on from House Bill 4622 and Senate Bill 901. That's the Equal Parenting Act. Please, if you are listening, or you're watching this episode, obviously, if you're divorced, it's a no-brainer. But if you're not divorced, this is so important to moms and dads. Please, I encourage everybody, find your state representative in the House, find your state senator, and email them or call them, ask them to get the Equal Parenting Act passed. Please. I'm not too proud to beg.
No, I mean,
please.
If I had the money, yeah.
I mean, like Senator Rice,
yeah.
I emailed him. My representative is Representative Collins. I emailed him. I'm like, I am very concerned about this. Please get it moving. Get this done. So, equal roots.
Yeah.
I know this is a relatively new
It's very new
thing.
Yeah.
That you and some other people are putting together. How new?
About 4 or 5 months.
Okay.
It's literally just been a group of guys that have been, it really started off as like a small group of just dudes getting together. And then it turned into, well, hey man, I know a guy that's kind of going through something similar. Is it okay if I invite him? And it's just kind of naturally kind of took this progression of more and more people being like, well, hey, like, let's get together. The problem is like, it's kind of hard to go sit down in a Mexican restaurant and like everybody sit down and cry together there, but we don't really have houses big enough to like get people to be able to come and sit down and be able to talk or have a cup of coffee and just share conversation and communication. So Equal Roots, the ultimate goal is like, we need to find a place to meet. We need to organize this a little bit. And what we would love to, like, really the main thing is just giving dads and moms just a mental break, just to let them know that you're not alone. It's okay. It's okay. Like, we can't fix everything, but we're going to go through this together.
So this is just, I mean, obviously, just from what you said, it's very loose.
It's very
right now.
It's very loose. I will say that one person that's kind of jumped in and helped, actually a female that is going through something very similar. She actually works for a large nonprofit, and so she's designing a whole website. Like it's
there's a website.
Yeah, she's designing one. She's putting it together. I would say it's very loose, but also very structured, because it's a bunch of pretty stand-up guys.
Well, I see. Yeah. I mean, just listening to you talk, I immediately see some activism possibilities there with
very much
this group forming under an official nonprofit, and using the voices of the collective of people there to petition the state for things like equal parenting time,
yes,
and other things. But just from the strict support side,
yes,
look, I know what it's like to go through this stuff, and it's hard. It is extremely hard. There's no words to put through. There's no words to describe how hard it is. Like,
it's literally like mourning the death of a loved one.
It is.
That's not like, because I've mourned the death of loved ones, and I'm here to tell you what I'm going through with my kids is worse.
Yeah.
It's literally like mourning the death of a loved one times 5.
Well, but they're part of they're part of you. That is biblically, that is your flesh.
Yeah.
It's your flesh and your blood and your bone, and it has been stripped away from you for whatever reason. The reason is relevant. It's still been stripped away from you. And like, there's just, I don't know, man. I'm lost for words to try to convey the gravity and the emotion and the sadness and the breaking. Now, you can make it through, because You have to.
Yeah, you got to.
There's no alternative.
No, you won't have to do this. But ultimately, the question is like, what Equal Roots, my vision for Equal Roots is really, was like, hey, we're going to walk with you through this, but what we really want to focus on too is after this. Because you know as well as I do is that once you get out of this, it's like a cloud kind of lifts off of you, but also you're at the same time, you're like, I don't even know what to do now. Because I've got $30,000 worth of bills that I've still got to pay. And now what does life look like after this? Like now I've got my children. Now I've got some of this stuff. But if you don't deal with the mental while you're going through it and after it,
It'll crush you.
it'll crush you. So I want you to be the best dad you can be from the beginning to the end.
Well, and part of that, I think, is I had no support group. So, like I said, when I moved here, I didn't know anybody. And so I went through this almost alone. I have a very good family as far as like my mom and my dad and my two brothers. And so just having that connection was very helpful. And I come from a stable home. My mom and dad are still married.
Yeah.
And like the kind of family that I have is my older brother is a pastor in the UK.
That's really cool.
Yeah, he's a pastor in the UK. My younger brother lives in Tucson, but he and his wife have not, at this stage, they're probably not going to have any children. So I have 4, and my mom and dad wanted to have a relationship with their grandchildren. And when I went through this divorce, they knew I was going to need help. So they moved. They bought a house here in South Carolina. They live like 6 minutes down the road that way now.
That's amazing.
Yeah, fantastic. I had a really lovely day yesterday for Father's Day. You didn't get to see your kids. I'm so sorry. I'm very sorry. And the relationship I have with my 2 oldest children is not great. It's getting better slowly, but I got to see my two oldest kids came yesterday, and I had my 2 youngest. They're here right now. And I got to spend Father's Day with my mom and dad, my wife, and my 4 kids. To the people, those first 6 months by myself, it's extremely difficult. And to all those guys and the ladies that are part of Equal Roots that are fresh in it, you can do this. It's hard. I understand, but you can make it, and you owe it to those kids to make it. You have to make it for them. Like
it is, I was talking, I won't mention her name, but she's kind of got out of it, but hers is kind of the opposite. Like her husband had all the money, or their family had all the money, and like I don't know how this happened, but basically like he got it to where he was able to pretty much keep the house, and she got 1 kid and he got the other one, and she advocated. She was like, hey, like, I think they have 2 daughters, and I think at this time she was like 11, and dad got like sole custody of the 11-year-old, and mom got sole custody of the 4-year-old, and they were supposed to swap back and forth and do some kind of weird visitation. And I talked to her actually just yesterday, and I said, is there anything that you feel like you would have maybe done a little different? And she says, my biggest regret is that I didn't fight harder. She said, I just didn't have it in me. She's like, I wish that somebody would have just been there to tell me, just fight a little harder. And that's what I want Equal Roots to be, is just a group of people that just tell you, hey, fight a little harder.
Fight harder how?
Like, don't compromise, because you know as well as I do, when you're in court, the lawyer's going to come at you with every offer that ain't worth a dang and say, well, you can get your kids from 12 to 12 2 days. And there's a point where you're so financially strained, it's ready for this to be over, dude, that you're just like, okay, fine, whatever. But
that's the thing.
Yeah.
You said they will bury you.
Yeah. My ex has no idea what's going on. Let me just say this. Like, we have like actual proof of like, she has no idea what's going on. So we're like, well, I talked to her and I was like, hey, why are you doing this? Well, I didn't ask for that. I said, I got the paperwork right here. I'm reading it. Well, I never said that. My lawyer must have put that in there.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah. No,
why,
they
like,
will.
why aren't you talking to your lawyer? I'm like, why do you want so much in child support from me? I'm like, you with me a long time. You know our budget.
Look, man,
Yeah.
there were things, and I won't say anything specific
Yeah.
just because it's number one, it's nobody's business. Number two,
Yeah.
this is a public podcast. I don't want to say something I shouldn't get myself in trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I
No,
mean?
for me,
Like
I'm very,
legally.
I just put it out there, you know.
But there like and there have been some things said about me in court that I read and thinking about my former spouse, thinking she knows that ain't true.
Yeah. For real.
She knows
Yeah.
that ain't true.
Yep.
But my opinion is that her legal counsel said we need to say X,
X, Y, and Z. Yes.
we need to say these things.
Yes.
And the thing that is frustrating to me is that for you guys like us, there's no recourse to that. All
Yeah.
you can do is deny it, and you can't. I don't fully understand the way the courts work. I
Well-
think it is that they strictly deal with the matter at hand, and that is it. And so if you've been accused of X, Y, and Z, and you want to have that dealt with, that is going to wind up having to be a separate suit
Yep.
that you file against whomever,
So every court
which is
system,
more money.
yes, every court system basically works off of this: reasonable suspicion of probable cause. The state has the burden of proof. If I accuse you of doing this and take you to jail for this, it is my job to prove beyond a reasonable doubt as an officer that the reason why I made the arrest was based on these factors here, which most probably was the reason for this. Like, for instance, like I get called out, somebody accuses you of hitting somebody. Well, I look at your knuckles and there's blood on your knuckles. I can assume that reasonably, most probable is that you did in fact hit somebody. That's my reason for the arrest. Family court is the only court that has no standard of governance. Hear me when I say this, look it up. There's no standard for governance. It's not reasonable suspicion. It's not probable cause. What it is it's preponderance of evidence, and there's a South Carolina code of laws for family court, but ultimately the judge has complete and utter discretion over what he chooses. There's certain kind of foundational statutes you have to deal with, but outside of that tiny little box, the judge is free to order you whatever he wants. In fact, I know somebody that just got winning a case, or maybe that the judge actually ordered officers to go into his house and take something out of his house for whatever reason. I don't know all the details, but long story short, she ended up getting removed and disbarred because, like, hey, you can't just order somebody to go into their house for no reason. That's a Fourth Amendment violation, right? So in that case, he won that. But the judge had that discretion to order an officer to do that or a deputy to do that, and they went and did it. And it's insane. It's insane the amount. And the thing that actually, like, I don't quite understand is that the judges that do this, most of them were all lawyers before. And every lawyer I've ever talked to hates family court unless you're a high-dollar family court lawyer. Because a family court lawyer will run you anywhere from $7,500 deposit to a $15,000 deposit. It just depends. Depends on how much. But the more you pay, the better your chances are, especially in South Carolina.
Yeah, man, it's tough. It's I don't know, man. It's just based on what I've been through, and of course that's anecdotal. That's one case. That's all I know about.
Yeah.
But it just seems like there needs to be reform to family court in many, many ways.
And nobody's advocating for a dad or a mom to be able to have equal time with their kids if they're abusing their children. And what I mean by that is like actual abuse. Like, I know what abuse is. I've seen abuse. I know what real abuse is. But the problem that we have is that there's an allegation of abuse. You're treated as if you are, as if you did it until you can prove that you didn't.
Right. There's no presumption of innocence.
Yeah, there's none.
Which is the standard in criminal court.
In some ways, I can understand that. Hey, like he's doing this. Well, for the safety of the kid, like whatever, like we need to figure that out. But that's what a guardian ad litem is for. Well, see, in my case, and in many other people's cases, sometimes the judges won't even order you a guardian ad litem because they're like, oh, there's too much here, and it's, you guys can't afford all this, so you guys just do all your own investigations and come back to me in 2 months.
That's wild.
That's literally.
I had a guardian.
Yeah, I've never known somebody to not have one until here recently. But now it's starting to be like, well, I'm not going to order you a guardian. But even a guardian, if you don't understand what a guardian is, a guardian ad litem is a lawyer specifically for your child. It's there for the best interest of your kids, which I think is an amazing thing. That's a good thing. The problem is that lawyer, that guardian, you're often ordered to pay it, and it's usually about $2,000 deposit. If you're lucky, the judge will make you split she pay 50, you pay 50. But then here's the kicker. It's anywhere between $140 to $250 an hour with a 40-hour minimum. And they have the ability to request an additional 40 hours if needed.
Well, yeah.
And you're responsible for it.
No, I had a good judge in that regard. We had a guardian, and the guardian interviewed mom, interviewed dad, interviewed all the kids, talking to them about their situation and all that stuff. And it was fair.
Yeah.
She paid 50%. I paid 50%.
And you're lucky, but that's very rare. That doesn't happen a lot. Not here in South Carolina, and I can't speak for California or anywhere else, but I'm here to tell you, I don't know anybody that really gets that here.
Well, there are certain things that I greatly dislike, obviously, like, again, I don't want to come back to the Equal Parenting Act, but the Equal Parenting Act would make it the starting position that fathers and mothers get 50% of the time apiece. But also I greatly dislike the way child support is done as far as here's the account, like, and listen, I understand it's all based off of it's based off a number of things. It's based off of income. It's also based off of how much time the visiting parent gets to spend with their child. But I don't feel like I should have to go back to court to have my child support adjusted when one child turns into a legal adult. Yeah. You should just be able to automatically do the division and start paying that new amount, because I have to pay another lawyer and I got to pay court fees. I got to do all this crap. But the other thing I dislike is, and look, whenever you have to do child support, you have to fill out a financial declaration. You have to disclose how much money you have, how much money you make, what your assets are, if you have, investment accounts and what they're worth and all of this stuff. And then based on these formulas, the court is going to say you have to pay X amount every month to the custodial parent for child support. And then it's done. There is, and I think there should be, there is no monthly reporting by the recipient of where these monies have gone. Like, and I get it, like, you have your standard bills, what are those, insurance, electricity, and water, and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But you know what? Like, I want my children to be blessed and to be taken care of and to have a good time. But you know what I don't want to do? I don't want to be paying for my former spouse to get her hair done.
That's a fact. So, and I don't mind putting this out here. I know it's a public platform, and I don't mind doing this, because if there was one thing that I am is I pride myself on being very genuine and honest. So I'm just going to throw this out there. So I make exactly $4,200 a month after taxes. My monthly bills in total are $3,300 a month. They did all the calculations and decided that I'm obligated for $1,600 a month in child support.
Are you serious?
$1,600 a month. And like I said, that doesn't include $3,200 or $3,200 a month worth of daycare. But they literally sent me a thing that says you're going to have to pay this much, or we want you to pay this much, but just know that this doesn't include daycare yet. We'll get back to you on that price. Pretty much, in layman's terms, that's what they said. And I'm sitting here and thinking to myself, how do I take my kids on vacation? How do I buy my kids a new pair of shoes? How do I have quality time? Because either A, I'm going to have to go get a second job or get a better job and work longer hours and have more time away from them, or B, I'm just not going to be able to do anything else, and my kids will literally, mom will always be the fun parent. Dad's always the guy that's broke because dad can't afford to take us to McDonald's even. Yeah. That's not fair. That's not quality of life. The child deserves to have a good life on both mom's side and dad's. it shouldn't be. There should not
Well,
be
see,
a.
if you had
Yeah.
50-50 time, there would be no child support.
Yes,
because
but
you're
that's
equally
the
sharing.
see, that's the thing though. That's the biggest thing that I'm hearing. Like some of the biggest the people that don't want to do this, and I've talked to a couple of people. It's judges and lawyers and a couple of activists who are like, well, what about the money? Like how do women get the money that they need to raise these kids? Well, listen,
Go to work.
I don't know who pays who spends $1,600 a month on your kids. Dog, y'all need to think about, maybe saving a little bit. Like, I don't know, maybe your lifestyle is super extravagant, but like $1,600 a month.
Well, I understand some of that goes like, when you split up, there's going to be two rent or mortgage payments. There's going to be two sets of utility bills. There's going to be two of everything. Beforehand it was just one.
Yes,
I understand that, but this is for the children. We want to make sure that they're fed, that they have clothes,
Yes.
that they can see the dentist or the doctor, that they have, that they have whatever. You're right, $1,600. I have.
Am I wrong? I mean, if I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. But I don't know. Like, I'm trying to think about how many pairs of shoes and how much clothes and how.
No, well,
Yeah.
see, and here's the, like, and I'm not. I don't want to be a petty. I don't want to be petty when it comes to this kind of stuff, but I just, from time to time, I've had to remind my children, like, whether it's like, well, mom did this and mom got me this, and then I'm like, I paid for part of that.
Yeah.
I just want you to understand. Like, I send your mom X amount of dollars every month because I'm obligated to. So I want you to understand, when your mom buys you something, your dad buys you something.
Yeah.
We both buy you something. It's not mom is doing this for me. No, we are doing this. Like, you may only see me X amount of days a week, but I'm always there.
Yeah.
This is not, and then I do what I can extra when they're here, whether if it's I have the funds
But
to take.
it's frustrating for you, I assume, for you to be like, man, I wish that I could just call my ex and just say, hey, is it possible for me to get the kids? I've got a little extra this month, and I'd like to run them Cherokee for the weekend, go camping. But you can't really do that.
You can't do that.
That's memories being taken away from you.
The only way for me to be able to do something like that is to say, hey, I've got it, and a lot of this is going to depend on how amiable you guys are. It really is. I've got something going on. Can we swap weekends? Are you willing to do that? And that just depends on how that relationship is. Some people have it really great. Some people have it not great at all.
Yeah, and if
mine's not.
Yeah, if you have it really great, you have no idea how lucky you are. That's amazing. Good for you. Like, I'm very excited. I love it. But because I know people, like I know some people that, like, him and his ex and him and his new wife and her new husband, like, they all get together and celebrate the kid. That's awesome. That's the goal. Because, hey, man, it's not about me and it's not about you. It's about our kids. It's about our kids. I went to court, and, one of the biggest things that they said about me is like, man, he's a cop. He knows what he can and cannot send in a text. He's just really nice and on texts. He doesn't call her, but everything he says is on text, and he's just really nice. Like, Judge, why do you think he's being so nice? And my lawyer just argued, so what's the alternative? Should he, like, cuss and yell and scream? So how can the guy win? So he's too nice or he's too mean? Like what do you guys, like, what do we want here? Like, the goal is these kids. I can't tell you how many times I've told my ex, like, hey, her text to me was like, if you don't want to be with me, then that means you don't want to be with them. Right? My thing with her was, hey, you've left me this many times. I have to put boundaries up at some point in time. And I literally sent her a text, and I was like, listen, I love you, and I'll always care about you. And I will always have respect for you as the mother of my kids. And as far as with me and my kids, like, at the end of the day, I get 50-50. She is always welcome to call them. She's always welcome to FaceTime them. She is always welcome to talk to them at any point in time throughout the day. I will never alienate my children from their mother, ever. That'll never happen. Because it's my responsibility as a dad. I've got to do the right thing.
Yeah.
It's about the best interest of my kids. And it took me a long time and just a lot of prayer to get to a point to where I was willing to like literally lay this at the feet of God and just say, Lord, like, how do I give forgiveness? without reconciliation, because part of me naturally wants like, hey, let's sit down, let's talk about this. But I've realized that that may not just be in God. That's just maybe not in God's plans for me, but it's up to me to have forgiveness. And that's what I really try to talk to the guys about when we talk. And it's crazy for me. I'm a young guy and I'm talking to these guys that are much older, much wiser than me. And I'm sitting there and we're laying hands on each other and praying over each other. I'm just like, hey man, you just got to find forgiveness. Just giving up control. Going right back to what we were talking about earlier, Chris, is just the hard part about following Christ is giving up control.
Yeah.
And that's what you have to do when you're going through some of this in court. You have to give up the control.
Yeah. Yeah. It's tough, man.
Yeah. I can't thank you enough, dude. Like I know that this is such a different thing from what you normally do, and the listeners are probably tired of hearing me talk, but I just want to say thank you. Thank you for being courageous enough to say, hey, let me bring this stranger on that I don't know, have a conversation about something I'm passionate about. We may not align on, but I feel like it's important enough for me to get this out.
Well, it's vastly important, and it's something I'm passionate about because it's something that I live with every single day, and that I have lived with for the last 5 years, and that I will continue to live with for the next 5 years until my youngest finishes high school. And then, of course, the ramifications of what has taken place in my life towards my children will continue on infinitum.
Yep.
There will be, and hopefully I can overcome some of those barriers with my oldest 2 children. Like I said, it's getting better, but like, if there's, like I said, you're right, this is not normally what I do, but if this show can help raise awareness about the Equal Parenting Act, but maybe even more importantly, if some man or some woman listens to this who's going through what I'm going through and have been through and what you're going through, and it can help them and encourage them, then it was worth it.
That's
and
right.
if we can raise, and if we can put it out there that there is something like, that nobody knows it exists, it's still early, Equal Roots.
Yeah.
So when does Equal Roots meet?
So we get together Wednesdays right now. We're getting together on Wednesdays, kind of the middle of the week.
Yeah.
Monday's kind of the crazy day. Tuesday, things are just kind of getting in the swing. We found that Wednesday is kind of one of those days where people can kind of get together.
Hump day, man.
Yeah, it's right there in the center where it's like, we're going to get to the end of the week together. You know? So right now we're meeting on Wednesdays.
When? What time?
Usually about 7 o'clock. Like I said, it got to the point, man, where it was like 3 of us, 4 of us, then there was like 10 of us, and there was like 12 of us, and now there's like, I think almost 20.
Wow.
A little over, in a matter of like 4 or 5 months. Like,
Yeah.
well,
people are hurting.
Yes.
People need help. People need community. People that are going through this kind of thing, they don't know where to turn to find other people that are going through or have experienced it, and so to have that is extremely helpful. I recently started a support group for caretakers, because now I'm a caretaker full time for my wife, and they go through a lot. And so, like, me and a couple of other ladies that work at Prisma, we started a support group for caretakers. So Equal Roots meets Wednesdays about 7 o'clock. Where are you currently meeting?
Currently right now we're meeting at a buddy's property. It's one of those things that if you want to come and you want to attend, you can follow me on Instagram. If it wasn't for Equal Roots or like doing some of this, like I would not have social media. I'm just not a social media guy. I used to be, and I found that it gets you in trouble quite a bit. There's just too much there, man. I'm out. What is my,
it's the hunting experience, right?
Yes, the hunting experience. Well, that's our hunting channel. Like, we do a lot of hunting and a lot of fishing, which we'll talk briefly about it. Houston.Miller 97 is kind of where we're going to start posting some stuff for Equal Roots. But yeah, the hunting experience, I mean, that's just all of those pictures on the hunting experience. There's a YouTube, there was a TikTok. I started that a while ago because a lot of my buddies hunt, and that's what we do. And there's nobody really to to post that and to share it and to be like, dude, look at this. So every picture on that is a local South Carolina upstate guy who's went hunting either here or somewhere else and has killed something or harvested something and brought it back home, and so we try to promote that.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in you know, from field to table. You know, I grew up in, like I said, in the Amish Mennonite world. Like, I clearly remember waking up at 5 a.m. We were homeschooled and we still had to get up at 5 a.m.
Sure.
to go do chores. And man, some of the best times of my life was running and playing in the creek and hunting and fishing. And then, I don't know, we try to promote that because it's something we definitely want to do.
Yeah.
more.
So so have you started posting stuff at, what did you say, Houston.Miller97?
Yes. So
have you started posting things about Equal Roots there?
we have our first batch of stuff going up like next week. Like, thank God for kind of Leslie coming in and like understanding how to do all this, because if you left me in charge of a computer, everything would go wrong. Like, you don't want me to do that. But she actually works for a nonprofit organization. She's actually starting the 501c C3. Yes, she's starting that process. She designs the website. She's background in marketing. So she's handling all of that free of charge just because she's went through this too.
Yeah.
You know?
Is there any target date when the website will be up?
I'll shoot you a text about that.
Yeah.
I'm
okay.
not. She's kind of a perfectionist, so she told me, she's like, I could probably get it done in like a month, but like, I really want it to be perfect. You know?
Sure. Yeah. Because this we still have a few weeks before this episode will go live.
Yeah.
And maybe that stuff will be up then, and I can put it all in the show notes. So if there will be a domain, and if Equal Roots will have its own Instagram account or whatever, that would be great. But for now, I would say this: if somebody watches or listens to this episode and is going through what we're going through, and they want to come to the next meeting, what's the best? Should they just send you a DM?
Just shoot me a DM, and just shoot me a DM. Honestly, most of the times we're kind of meeting at a buddy's house, but as it's kind of growing, we're actually kind of maybe utilizing the church a little bit. And I don't want to say which church yet because we haven't locked it down 100%. But if you want to and you want to be a part of it, and you feel like you have a calling to come be a part, and I want to be very clear, man. It's not like some great big weird thing. Like, it's like, there'll be a fire right there. You're going to show up. There's going to be coffee or whatever. And dude, we may not even talk about what you're going through.
Yeah.
And we're just hanging out.
Like, so my wife and I, we attend twice a month. We attend a support group for stroke survivors.
Yeah.
And the last support group we went to, we didn't even talk about strokes.
No.
We didn't talk about strokes. We didn't talk about the deficits, like the parts of your body that don't work right anymore. We didn't, like, sometimes you do talk about issues surrounding. Other times you're just there with your people who understand what you're going through because they're going through it, and you guys just talk about whatever, but you're with that group that understands.
Yeah.
And you're able just to kind of de-stress.
Yeah. Sometimes the best thing to do, like when you're going through this, and I know that you've been through it too, but sometimes you don't want to talk about it.
No.
Sometimes you just want to go and feel like a normal person for a little bit.
Yeah.
And it's not one of those things. I want to be very, very, very careful not to make this a woe is me story, because, hey, you know what? Like, I am saved by the blood of Jesus, and like, thank God for his son Jesus and Jesus' sacrifice. And I'm incredibly lucky to have my friend Courtney and Ty and Cole and Tyler and Ben and Chris and Tom and all of these guys, Roy, all of these guys that I've known, all of these people that I've known that have honestly come around me and like have loved me through this.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some people that don't have that. And that's the only thing I care about with Equal Roots is like, I don't want to see, because I have personally worked, going back to law enforcement, I have personally worked 2 separate suicides that were based off of family court. In my career, I know 2 for sure that were primarily 100% due to family court. Strokes. I've worked a lot of suicides, but those 2 I know from the notes that were left were based on that. And I don't want to ever see that again.
Yeah.
And like Ram said, I can either be ruled by evil or I can stand up and do something.
Yeah.
And so the only thing I know to do is to slap a name on it and to bring people together and just say, hey, man, let me just hang out and talk to you. Tell me what you do for a living. You like to hunt? Let's talk about that. You like to fish? Let's talk about it. You like to fix cars? Let's talk about that. You want to talk about Winston Churchill? Because I know y'all talk about it. Let's talk about that. Like, whatever. Come just hang out and just be Chris. Just come be Houston.
Yeah.
You don't need to be the guy that's going through depression.
Yeah.
So
sometimes you need that, man. You get sick of talking about it.
that's a fact.
Yeah.
That's a fact.
So sweet, man. Well, look, I think we covered a lot, and a lot of very, very important things as it pertains to just being a divorced parent, or a divorced / single parent. You may not be divorced, but just that parent and losing time with the kids and the difficulties, and I think it's awesome that y'all are putting together Equal Roots. My Wednesdays are usually busy.
Well, mate,
I would love.
we'll get you over there one day. We'll
Yeah.
get you over there one day. Come on.
Yeah, Wednesdays are. My wife goes, and I take her because she doesn't drive. She goes to an aphasia support group once a month. She goes to a stroke support group once a month. Their caretaker support group is once a month, and all of those are on Wednesdays.
I'll tell
But
you
we'll figure it out, man.
Yeah, we'll make some time. I'm
Yeah.
at least going to get you to sit down with the core guys. Maybe on a Monday. Maybe we'll just
Yeah,
grab a drink.
I
or
would
something.
like that.
Just sit down and just talk. But man, like I said, I can't thank you enough
No, it's
for
been a
taking the
pleasure.
risk, dude. I really do
Yeah,
appreciate
well, it's important to me. So hopefully the new website will be up by the time I publish this, and it'll be in the show notes. And again, please email your local
it.
representative
Please, yeah.
and senator about the Equal Parenting Act. That's House Bill 4622, Senate Bill 901. Let's get this thing done, because no father or mother that is fit, willing, and able should only see their children
Twice a
4 or
month.
5 days a month.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
It's a
It
crime.
is
It
wrong.
really should be a crime. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Houston, man, this has been it's been fun. The topic of conversation is heavy.
Yeah.
But I've enjoyed it.
No, dude, I've enjoyed it too. And like I said, I'm just going to say it one more time, thank you
Yeah,
for taking the chance and
absolutely.
just your support. And dude, I love your show. I've been a fan. I listen to it. So like on my Spotify, I've got like Joe Rogan and Tucker Carlson and like a few other ones. And like you're right, like you're on the number 5. You're in the 5.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, of what I listen to.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
to be putting that list, that's a high list, man. That's
Oh man, I'm just saying you're on my
Joe, I'm
5.
coming for you.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Joe, if you ever want to come on.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, this has been fun. Anything we didn't cover that you want to chat about?
No, I think we got it, man.
All right, brother. Well,
Thank you, my friend.
man. Thank you.
Yep.
And thank you for watching and or listening to Sunday Afternoon Smokes. If you like the show, the best way you can support it is just to give us a follow and maybe like the episode. But more importantly, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it on your socials, and share it with the world, because Sunday Afternoon Smokes is really sweet. We'll see you soon.